Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode, but this year should be a different episode. So, as per our previous last couple of good episodes, good few episodes, we've always been talking about building cars, paintwork, bodywork, mechanicals, and we're going to start getting into the mechanicals of things. This episode, we're actually tackling something different. So, what we have over here is an IS, all right? So, why am I tackling this car as to any other IS? Is because this is not just our general ISs that we have basically in South Africa, like our Evo 1s, our Evo 2s. This is actually a 320 IS. So a lot of people don't even know that this car exists. This car was built purely for certain countries, which is two countries, which is Portugal and Italy, right? 320 IS, a person would think, okay, fine, it's a 6-cylinder with a MTEC2 kit on it, but it's actually not. This is known as basically the baby M3 or the Italian M3. I'm going to show you guys now a couple of differences to the cars, and it's unique, it's different. Like I said, a lot of people don't have knowledge of it. I posted this, it is for sale, by the way, and this is basically one of two in the country. So there's a little bit of history on this specific car here, and I think before we get to the 320 IS history, let's just touch base on this specific car's history. So this car started off manufactured, if I'm not mistaken, in Germany, right, and taken to Italy or manufactured in Italy. I can't remember. I can't be for certain on that, but basically taken to Italy. It was bought in the UK, right? And if you notice that the car is actually right-hand drive. All these cars were manufactured in left-hand drive. There's a company in the UK called Birds, and it was basically a father and son that both passed away now, but they were your approved workshops. It was an approved workshop basically to do the right-hand drive conversion. So this car was converted to right-hand drive back then already. So in South Africa already, this car, because of being right-hand drive, it's been imported correctly. It's actually licensed. It's registered and licensed in South Africa already. So that's a plus of it. Anyway, I had this car up for sale. It's still up for sale, but I posted it on Facebook, and I got hammered. But I left the comments up there, and I left everything up there because I knew I was going to do a video on the car. And the price is at about 1.2 million rand. And if you look at where the market is now, I've seen E30 325is, I've seen dogs, and people will relate to this to the statement that there are dogs being sold for I can't even say 600,000 anymore. They no more that margin. So your 700, 800, 900,000 and cars they bad cars. The cars that need full restorations, and that's some of the cars that we're seeing in there. So at 1.2 million rand for a car that's registered in South Africa already, it's imported to SA, registered in South Africa. Paperwork is correct. It's made right-hand drive already, so you can literally take this car, drive it wherever you want to, get your number plate onto it, and Bob's your uncle. I got hammered, but anyway, it's one of those things. I think that I'm trying to do this video to educate those that spoke without knowing the car. One guy even posted there and said that this is why would a person go from 325 IS to 320 IS? It wasn't a choice that we had, right? Anyway, I'm not going to go too far into that, right? So 320 IS. What do we know about this car? So we know the E30 M3 is made between 195 brake horsepower to, I think it's about 132 brake horsepower. They varied with the different production types. This car made 192 brake horsepower. So the reason why they came up with the name 320 IS is because of the tax issues that they had back then. So basically, the engine size, engine capacity, you get taxed differently as per the size of the engine. That's what I understand. So they've kept the production models to a 2-liter, right? So they don't fall into the tax bracket there, and So bumping down 300 cc's, they've basically lost at a minimum of 3 horsepower. But if you compare to your DTMs and so on, I get your Evo 2s, your M3s, they were considerably low on power. Nonetheless, it's still a S14 B20 motor in it. Gearbox type, it's mated to a dog leg, so you got to get used to this guy. It's a totally different car to drive, and I'm not going to actually take it out, unfortunately. I don't want to take it out. I don't want to. I've driven this car once, and I literally took it down the road. I came back. I don't want to drive it. I don't. It's purely because of insurance purposes, and also it's unnecessary driving off it, right? And anything can happen. Murphy's law. Anything can happen. I can take it down with the open intention and get T-boned down the road. So I really don't want to do that. However, we are going to do the video still. So I've taken the car down for a drive. It's a totally different drive. Firstly, you got your dogleg gearbox in there, right? Secondly, this thing makes about 200 Newton meters, 210 Newton meters of torque. But the torque comes in much higher in your rev range, right? As to the M20s, the M30s. So the M20s, we know we got peak power, we got peak torque at about 3,000 RPM, 2.5, 3,000 RPM. We got peak torque all the way till about 4.5. With the triple threes, your torque comes in much more earlier, right? So we got torque available from 2,000 RPM, and we got a considerable amount of torque available on the triple threes, and I'm used to that. Driving this guy here, firstly, I took it down the road. I didn't stretch it. I didn't want to rev it up, and this is actually a high revving motor. So most of your enjoyable power comes up in the rev range. So I think redline on this guy is at about 7,200, whereas the M20s made, I think the redline or made power till about 6.1. The triple threes make power until about 5,500, and you'll see that the power band just dips from there. So it's a totally different drive. What I did feel, right? So a lot of people will say your triple threes are lumpy, right? A lot of people complain about it, and I've got to feel all three cars now. So I sat in an E30 M3, right? This feels very similar to it. So I can clearly tell you the difference now of what I felt between all three cars. So the triple three does feel nose heavy, right? That's why they also compensated now for the bigger brakes on the car. So the brakes are bigger than the IS. They are thicker pads and the calipers much bigger. It does feel a little bit lumpy, but I enjoy that car. If you guys saw my previous videos on the triple three, you know that when it comes to a trip, I enjoy a trip. And that's more because of road use. I guess putting it on a track is a different story, but from a road point, for me, I feel a triple three more stable, more enjoyable. It is a bit nose heavy, but it's not considerably nose heavy where it's not safe. Then you got your M20s, your ISs. The ISs, for me, it feels like an in-between car. It feels like a more balanced out car, especially, so I'm not talking about track use again, I'm talking about road use. It feels more of a balanced out car, right? So it's not nose heavy, it's not too light, and you don't have to wind it up and want to get it in the corner. You have to watch what you're doing also. This car on the other hand, you can actually feel how light this car is. Although I think it's 120, it's between 120 to 150 kilogram difference between the triple three to this guy here, right? But it's not so much the weight factor, but it's the weight distribution that's actually different. Because now your motor, instead of sitting, why am I talking to a bonnet here? Let me open the bonnet for you guys. So instead of sitting all the way forward and dumping the weight past the axle or past your cross member, the motor is actually sitting further back. So the motor sits further back. You can actually see the motor sitting further back, right? And look at the gap that we have here. They could have actually come further back with the motor and given it, obviously BMW knew what they were doing, right? I'm just giving you my 2 cents. Yeah, but look at the gap you have here between the motor and look at the gap you have in the front of the motor. But again, nonetheless, S14 B20. So, remember we were talking about the different variants. The 320is is a B20, it's a 2-liter motor. The M3s came in 2.3. What else is there to know about it? Okay, so suspension wise, these cars don't have the M3 suspension, right? They don't come with the IS suspension. So if you guys know by now, it's the IS and the M3 that share the same suspension. This here comes with the I Sport suspension, so it's a 4-lug, meaning it's 4. It's not a full-on sport suspension, but it does have ventilated discs in it. So it wasn't a full-on sport pack. That's why they named it basically the baby M3. The gearbox, still using the dogleg 265/3 gearbox, which is very short. It's a very short, lumpy gearbox. You got to get used to it. Diff ratios on these cars, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not very certain of it, but I don't think that they would have shortened the diff ratios out because of the shorter ratio on the gearbox. Interior on the other end, right? Okay, so the interior of the cars, the options were your houndstooth, your checkered gray, or your anthracite. This car's got checkered gray in there, right? And you can see over converted to right-hand drive. You can see the MTEC steering on it. That's the 370mm steering, so it's about 15mm smaller than the rest. You can have a look at the speedo as well. The speedo reads to 260, right? I think the rev counters all the way up to 8,000. These motors like to rev up. And then if you notice where the fuel consumption gauge is, that is not a fuel consumption gauge. It is an oil temperature gauge. So all your M cars can, if you notice a new M cars that's out today, E90, or not your newer ones, but any M car that's out today, you don't have a fuel consumption gauge, they've got an oil temperature gauge. So this car's got a checkered gray interior in it, right? And I'm in love with this interior. I even got nailed for it as well. I'm gonna bring this up on Facebook again. So a guy by the name, there was a few guys that said, oh, the cracks on the seat come free with the car. Guys, this car's got 91,000 kilos on it, right? I've seen that I can get into one of the E30s that actually happened to me. One of the E30s that we done, we just upholstered the interior, we put the interior together. I was busy test driving the car. I don't carry a firearm at the back, but when I got into the car, I tore the bolster, the right hand side bolster. So does that make that a high mileage car? We don't know the previous owners of those cars. If guys are big size guys, they are gonna tear the seat. That's how it is. And I took a photo specifically of that tear to show. I find it characteristic, but I don't find it as buttered up. And you can have a look at the rest of the seats, and you can see that they're actually intact. It's not abused, it's not broken, it's not bent back sideways as to all the South African cars. It's looked after. That's genuine tears on it. So and you look at the back, look at the interior at the back. The backboard, I don't even want to talk about it. The backboard has been changed before. I don't know what they were thinking about that material. But okay, so look at the back seats of the car. This here will tell you the condition of the vehicle. Look, if you look at the seatbelt holders, look at the door cards at the back. There's no warpages on it. Come down to the carpet, the door sills on it. Oh yeah, so this is something else that I've also seen. So I thought these door sills were actually put on afterwards, right, with the BMW M Technique on it, but they actually came out with the BMW M Technique. So again, it's a totally different car. Yes, it's very close to an IS, but it's a totally different feel, and I just can't explain to you. You have to sit in it. Oh yeah, there's one more difference on the back seat. You see that there's an armrest there. So that is one of the features for the overseas vehicles, right? We never really saw that. We only saw it in the 5 Series. Then you got your MTEC 2 kit on it. There's a couple of differences on the body, right? But nothing out of this world. It's still a normal 2-door body. There's no sunroof on the car. The boot battery is still in the boot. The water bottle is moved up here. There's no washer nozzles. It doesn't have your headlight washer nozzles on it. And the other difference is this car doesn't have fog lights. This car's got blank offs. So apparently they come with blank offs. And if you have a look at where the blank off fits, it's actually fitting onto the valence of the car and not onto the spoiler. Right? So that's something different. We've never seen that. But nonetheless, guys, like I'm saying, it's a totally different drive to it. I think there were about 2,500 units made, and they were made in 2-door and 4-door. So I think it's about 1,300 or 1,500 4-door, 3,800 units in total. And I think 1,300 were 2-door, 4-door, and 1,504 units were in the coupe version of it. And I'm not too sure if the 4-door came with the MTech 2 kit on it. We can do some more research. The one thing I am surprised is why they didn't go with the 5-lug suspension. The braking is good. I think it's more than sufficient for the car. But one would have thought that if they're following the M3 route, and if the only difference was the displacement issue, why didn't they carry on with the suspension? Was it a cost issue? Or what was it? So I'd like to do more research and dig into that. Sorry about that. So maybe the other video, sorry, before I even get to the test drive, the other video I wanted to do is try and get the E30 M3 in, Evo 1 IS, Evo 2 IS, 320i Sport. So there is a UK version. It's a right and drive UK version of one out of, and a 333. I would have liked to have gotten all the cars basically together and do a physical comparison. So I might still do another video if I can get all the cars together in under one roof, and we still do a physical comparison on all of the vehicles. I think that'll be something good. It's never, I don't know if it's been done before, but like I said, it's a physical check that we can do. So what I am going to do is I'm going to try and convince the owner of the car to take us for a drive, and I'm going to try and document it as well. And I do know that he's also got a lot more history on this car to share. So again, guys, it is available. It is for sale. There are a couple of buyers on it, but it's a unique car for its age. It's a new unique car for the South African market, but it is also not an IS. So when you start it up and you hear it and you hear the 4-cylinder tone, it takes you a while. The only time you appreciate the 4-cylinder tone is higher up in the RPM, and a lot of people in South Africa don't understand that, right? It was designed for track use, but for road use, it's something unique. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think. We used to see the 6 cylinders, so your thoughts on the 4-cylinder. And yeah, I thought let's just do this here. This is something different as to all the other videos we're doing, and then just give me some feedback on it and let me know. Anyway, guys, you guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, and share, and I shall see you on the next video. Cheers, guys.